When people ask me, is North Korea like a place where it's all fake? They show you what they want you to see and everything like that. Is that true? Now let me tell you. Whenever I've gone on a tour in a country, they take you to the places that they want you to see for that tour. So going on tour in North Korea wasn't any different than going on a tour in any other country, including America. They take you on a tour based on a specific itinerary of what you're gonna see and what you're gonna do, and they take you there and you do it. If you wanted to see something else or do something different, you pay extra on top of that tour and they'll take you there. They'll do whatever. I know people have gone to North Korea and they made like vlogs out of it, and they had to pay a lot extra to do that. If you wanna go skiing in North Korea, which I wanted to go, but I didn't have the money during this trip, I would have requested that and I would have been able to go skiing. So it was not just an experience of they wanted me to take me where they wanted me to see. It's like, it's a tour, guys. Like, it's a tour, you know? So were there empty buildings or fake grocery stores? Every place I went into was real. They had, legitimate monuments. I'm sure they had certain monuments they wanted to show the Chinese and didn't really care to show the Americans. So like, I went on a Chinese tour because I was the only American. They kind of threw me in. If there had been more US citizens on this tour, they would have done more of a American specific tour, but I got more of the Chinese tour. So we went to an amusement park, we went into a store that had cards and souvenirs, we went to the South Korean border, and met a border guard, and he shook my hand and he told me, America, we're gonna destroy you. I don't say that lightly at the time. Hey, listen, I don't get afraid by these things. You're not gonna destroy me, and even if you are gonna destroy America, I'm sure Trump isn't gonna let that happen. Not that I'm a Trump supporter, but you've been saying that for years and years and years, and nothing's happened. So why am I gonna be afraid about what you're saying now? Shook my hand, he squeezed it. It was almost like he was breaking the bones in my hand. This was a really powerful handshake, and one of the most powerful handshakes I've ever had in my life. The other one was probably in Afghanistan. But this guard, at the end of the day, he's a guy, he's got a he followed me around and he had a little thing for me. I will tell you, he was a good looking North Korean man, but he was a soldier and he hated Americans. So there was nothing that was really gonna come between him and that. And he didn't speak English, so Miss Lee was translating me. Miss Lee was my 25-year-old tour guide. So she was really great. She didn't like America either though. Very honest about that with me. She's like, you guys did this, you guys did that. We don't like you because of this. At one point I'm just like, I've heard enough. I didn't tell her that, but I'm just thinking, okay, we get it. I understand. Now let me just experience some of this culture while I have 3 days here. I learned that there were 5 TV channels and half of them were about proper etiquette in North Korea. They had their own music channel with their own North Korean music. So the citizens of North Korea aren't really exposed to anything from the outside world. I mean, there's no Wi-Fi, no cell phone service. You can get a cell phone, but it's not, there's no like AT&T, which I did have in most countries. So you're pretty much removed from it all. And they don't really let you leave unless you're a tour guide, pretty much, or in the government. My tour guide, she seemed really happy with her life and living there. She said it's a lot better than what it was before in regards to poverty. I want to be honest here and say that how North Korea and the government has treated its citizens over the years, I will be completely honest and say I'm not that educated about what's happened in the past in history, but I do know that there was a lot of poverty and there is still a lot of poverty, and how the government treats its citizens is not the greatest. We all know that. But I will also say that there's a lot of countries in the world where the government does not treat its citizens very well and they're dying. And I saw that a lot in Africa. So I wouldn't paint this picture on North Korea and saying it's like the worst place on earth, because the people there are really kind and really sweet and really nice, and they're just trying to live and have families, and just like you are and just like I am, they're just trying to survive. Life is not about living and dying, it's about surviving. Each and every one of us has to make a living somehow. Each and every one of us has to figure out how to be the best version of ourselves in order to manage our lives and deal with other people and be successful. And at the end of the day, that's all that they're trying to do as well. And they're doing okay from what I saw. And we drove through back roads and highways through different towns and impoverished areas, people bathing themselves in the river. And that's what happens in other countries as well. In America, we have the same amount of poverty where, yes, we do have much more freedom, obviously, but there is that impoverished side of America too, where people have to bathe in rivers and don't have the money and can't afford healthcare. And it happens happens everywhere. And I think North Korea deserves more respect than what it has. The government, of course, is corrupt, and everything that's going on in that realm of government side of things is, of course, shameful and terrible, and it needs to be changed. But when you talk about North Korea as a country, it's a beautiful place. People are really kind. The food, the beer, some of the best beer I've had in all my travels, if not in the top 5 best beers I've ever had, was in North Korea. There's just so much culture and an experience to have in North Korea, and I would say it's a great country. I would say it's totally worth visiting and experiencing, and I would say that the chances of you going there and dying are extremely slim. When you go to any country, you have to abide by their cultural norms. I made a video about Libya. I wore a hijab in Libya. I wasn't going to, but the reason why is because the family that I stayed with, the mother and daughter, told me to wear a hijab, so I wore one. Meanwhile, I'm getting all these comments saying she didn't need to wear a hijab. She's just being like disrespectful by wearing a hijab. I'm like, if the local people tell me to put a hijab on, I'm gonna wear a hijab out of complete respect. When Muslims come to America and they're wearing the full burqa or a hijab in general, a lot of Americans will say, well, you're in our country, so take the hijab off because we're not a Muslim country. I've read so much and heard Americans say that, and Americans could not be more wrong by saying that. America is a melting pot of culture. Libya, for example, is not a melting pot of cultures. America is a melting pot of cultures. It is Muslim, Christian, atheist, everyone in between, black, white, green, yellow, blue, gay, straight, amphibian, whatever it is, America is that, a melting pot. We're made up of all different cultures, all different races, all different ethnicities, and that's what makes America what it is. So there is freedom to wear what you want to wear in America. If you are a nudist, there's a place for you in America, and you can be nude every day, all day long. If you're a Muslim, there's a place for you in America here. Most different areas of America, there's a place for you. There's mosques, there's place, so wearing a hijab is part of the American culture, if you look at it that way. But when you go to Libya, you're not gonna find nudist colonies. You're not gonna find churches. There's certain things that you're not gonna find because it's the culture of Libya. It's the same thing in North Korea. They're North Korean. They're centuries and centuries developed North Korean citizens. And it's not a melting pot of cultures. Anywhere you go in the world, it's so important to respect their cultural norms. And you go there to experience the country, you go there to experience the different way of living, the religion, the language, the food. You just dive in and respect the culture at the same time. You're gonna be fine. Who would have thought? If I go into North Korea and I'm holding my camera with my microphone on top, you can't do that. And you're told you can't do that. You can't film. You can't film officials. They give you a whole list of things that you can't do, and you cannot do that. If I go into North Korea and I take a picture of the leaders, but I don't include their full body in the picture, well, I'm gonna get in trouble for that because they blatantly said, you include the full body of the leaders in your picture. And if you don't, you'll get in trouble. They're blatantly honest about the rules that you need to follow when you go into North Korea, and you better follow them. Just like in any other country. If you go into America and you enter border control and you're naked, you take your clothes off, that's not allowed. Do a quick search on Google, you'll find out that's not allowed. I mean, that's a bad example, but educate yourself on the rules and regulations and cultural norms of that country. And I think that's, if there's anything I researched, I tried not to research as much as possible so I could go in with a completely open mind. But if there's one thing that I researched, it was that. So I was prepared to go into the country ready and respecting them and their norms and their rules. And that is how I was also able to stay extremely safe and nothing bad happened to me on this expedition. When I went into Somalia, I was not wearing hijab, okay? Somalia is a place where I read online, it's not required for Western women to wear hijabs. It's not like going into Libya or Iran where every woman should be wearing hijab. In Iran, actually, the local woman in Iran who showed me around told me to take my hijab off. They said, you don't need to wear a hijab as a Western woman. There's no need to. In some cases, it's actually seen as disrespectful if you're not Muslim and you're wearing hijab. In my case, and I said, but if I want to wear it to be respectful, is that okay too? And they said, yes. Well, no, of course. So I ended up wearing it because I wanted to show that respect. In Somalia, it was a different story. You didn't have to wear it. It wasn't required. I came off the plane and I was walking down the stairs and there was a woman in front of me and she hinted, wear your hijab, wear your hijab. So I took my hijab out and I wore it for the sake of being respectful. I wasn't about to say, no, I don't need to wear it. It's like, you're in Somalia, wear a hijab. It's like when you travel, just be open-minded and respectful. And that's the bottom line. I can't emphasize that enough because I've seen Americans travel, US citizens, and one experience was I was in Fiji Fiji. I'm sorry I'm getting sidetracked. I'll get back in a second. It was in Fiji, and I was with my friend who was from Fiji as well. And he was explaining to me, my stomach hurt. You know, he fell off the boat. He was telling me the story and how his stomach hurt. And there was a couple sitting across from us. They were wearing top hats. They were wearing polo shirts. I could tell that they were from America, but I could have been wrong. And the man said, you know, did I hear that your stomach hurts? And I'm like, okay, they're from the South, okay? And that's fine. But the next thing that came out of his mouth was not necessary. He said, let me tell you how Jesus Christ can heal you if you believe in the Jesus Lord as our Savior. And he went on and on and on, okay? Now, when we travel, politics and religion are very, very, very different in different countries around the world. In America, we all have different views. We all have different beliefs. It doesn't matter if people are Christian or not, or Muslim or not in Fiji, but when you go around boasting about religion, it's totally fine to be passionate about religion or politics, I want to say that. But boasting about it in a country that you're not from, to people who are from that country, can actually be seen as disrespectful. And this person I was with saw it as being disrespectful, that they were telling him that he needed to believe in Jesus to feel better. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but when you travel, respect is the number one thing to have in order to have the most fulfilling and open-minded experience. There weren't any specific things that happened in North Korea that stood out to me. The dancing and music culture was very big. As in a lot of countries, to show you their culture and to show you their music and their dancing. It's not true that you're not able to communicate with local people. They might not speak English, but you are able to communicate with them. You are able to take pictures in most places, and I didn't know that until I went there. There's only certain places where you are not allowed to film, and that's pretty much where there are guards. You know, whenever there's like military or guards, you're not allowed to film, and they tell you that. So I do wish I had brought in a camera and filmed more looking back. So when you go into North Korea, bring your camera. Know that it might get thrown out. Just be prepared for that. But embrace filming. Whenever they say you can't film, don't film, and otherwise film if you want. Overall, I would say that North Korea is a great country. I've said that before, but I can't reiterate the fact of just going there and checking it out and having an open-minded experience. Don't go in there thinking it's a terrible country. Don't go in there thinking that people are being treated poorly. Miss Lee was my tour guide from North Korea, and I said, please be honest with me. Don't sugarcoat things. How do you like your country, and how do you like living in your country? And she's left her country before because she's a tour guide, so she can. And she said, I love my country. I really do, you know? And I know that there's more out there, but I really enjoy where I'm from. And a lot of people in general have pride for where they're from, despite the circumstances. And I really value that, and I appreciate that. There was one thing that she said, there was someone from America who came here and was their tour guide, and they were telling me about Hannah Montana and Disney, and they were showing me videos on their phone and everything, and I was so excited, and her eyes just lit up, and she's like, she's so cool and fun. I loved her songs and everything. And how's Hannah Montana today? Like, how's she doing today? And I'm like, she's doing good. It's now Miley Cyrus, but she's a little bit different than when she was Hannah Montana. A little less innocent, you know? But I thought that was really funny. So on that note, please let me know in the comments below if you have any additional questions about my experience in North Korea. I could go into great detail, like I said, about everything that we did, but I do have a journal in my book, which I'll also link down below, and you can find out more from that. It's not too long, it's only a couple pages. But if you do have a lot of questions about North Korea that I didn't answer in this video, I'd be more than happy to make a follow-up video as well, answering some of your questions about North Korea. So please let me know in the comments below. And as always, like the video, please, if you liked it. and subscribe if you want to see more videos, travel related, fitness related. Also, there's a little bell up there that you can click and it'll notify you when I post more videos. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.